Alright, so in the last video we went over Lars' stance gameplay, breaking down all of his stance options and how they work, but one stance I didn't really dive into that much was limited entry. It was at the end of the video. Now the reason for that is because a lot of what makes limited entry strong isn't just the stance moves themselves, it's actually the fact that Lars gains access to his entire full crouch moveset from the stance. There's a lot of creative stuff that you can do with that when we're talking about offense, mix-ups, pressure, and even defensive options from that stance are pretty strong. The fact that you can backdash and block from the stance immediately give it much more flexibility and more creativity than dynamic entry and silent entry, where you have to commit to a button. So in this video we're going to break down limited entry in detail, and we're going to see what option Lars has from the stance and what is more or less everything that he can do to both mix you up and pressure you. As the offensive player, you're going to learn what to do, and as the defensive player, you're going to learn the counterplay to a lot of these options. Let's showcase all the moves that Lars uses when he is trying to get into limited entry. If you want to enter limited entry in the neutral, I don't really recommend it because you're basically fully committing into dynamic entry, silent entry, and limited entry, right? So you're going forward, forward, down. I don't recommend doing this in the neutral, mainly because like, come on, like they could counter hit you while you're doing any of this. So that's how you do it in the neutral. Don't recommend it. The number one transition that you're going to always use 9 times out of 10, it is your go-to 10 frame punish, which is 2-1. One of the best 10 frame punishes in the game because it gives you 22 damage. It has good range traveling forward. As you can see, that second hit travels forward quite a bit. But this string just automatically puts you in limited entry, right? It puts you in limited entry at +8 on hit. That's a guaranteed mix-up. If it hits, it's a guaranteed mix-up. If it doesn't hit, you're safe. You can just block, right? And this is the fun part about it, right? If your opponent doesn't know that limited entry crushes highs and they're just mindlessly spamming jab strings or their jabs, they get high crushed. And LEN 2 beats jabs, right? Both of these moves high crush. The option that is always on block, going to be the answer to silent entry and its stupid little mix-up, the safest and most secure one is always going to be down forward 1. Down forward 1 is consistent, right? It's consistent, it's reliable. Even if they block, for example, if the Lars players block, you'll be fine. You don't want to fully commit into a hop kick, right, and be punished by it or be insanely minus because of it. So it's always best to just check with down forward 1. Down back 1-3, right? Down back 1-3, hold down, you go into silent entry. This is going to be the low that you use to go into silent entry. This low is really good. It's really good because it's a high crushing 17 frame low that if you commit to it, you do 20 damage, which is very strong. It's very strong. However, there's a very key weakness to it. If the opponent decides to block this low, you're getting launched, right? If you fully commit to it. If you don't commit to it, you're fine. If you don't commit to it, it's just a -12 low, right? So a lot of the times, high-level Lars, Lars that are playing safe, they're playing smart, they're just simply going to go for down back 1, and that's about it, right? They're just throwing out down back 1, right? They're not fully committing to the string on the off chance that they get punished. If it's just a simple sidestep, it gets stepped easily, right? It's super linear. I believe it tracks a little bit to the left, right there, see? It tracks a little bit off a sidestep, but it's walkable on both sides. Like, if you're gonna commit to throwing out lows with Lars in the neutral, this is gonna be it. For the simple reason that you can throw out a single low. It'll hit for like 10 damage, I think, yeah, for like 9 damage. You'll be -1, right? But at the very least, you'll be safe, right? It's a safe little poke, right? And not only that, a lot of the times people expect you to toss out, you know, the whole string and go into limited entry. However, if you don't do that, you'll actually have access to mental frames, right? Lars has a lot of mental frames. And basically, with this -1, you can actually do a lot, right? A lot of the times people don't get the timing off, right? If you delay your timing off of this move, you can actually get moves like this while we're standing 2, and people will actually fall for full crouch down forward 2, and full crouch down forward 2 That is a very, very strong counter hit button that he has. However, you have to do it off of -1. If the opponent knows what they're doing, they're not going to fall for that. When the full string hits, and when you commit to the full string, you are +3, right? +3 and limited entry only gives you one guaranteed option, and that is this. This is the guaranteed option, right? While standing 4, WS4. That is the only guaranteed thing that you have. So if they are pressing when you do this low, and this low is connecting and they're pressing, you'll want to go for the while standing 4 to check them, to stop them from pressing any buttons. And if the whole string hits, you're going to be +5 in their face. And Lars actually likes those plus frames. Those are very good plus frames for him. A lot of the times as well, you don't really need to use your frames from the stance. Remember, you can just backdash, right? That's where playing with your timing comes into play. That you'll see better examples when you're seeing live gameplay, right? When Lars players don't actually take their frames. Because a lot of the times you don't really want to take your frames. You want to play mind games at close range with him to change up your timing, and you can beat your opponent that way. This is the fuck part about this low though. Like, look at this. Hold on, give me a sec. Yeah. Like, it trades. Like, the low trades with the mid, right? The mid trades with the mid. See? Like, it's not, you know, it's not a guaranteed mix. This is the worst part of it. Hop kick. The hop kick is going to be what a lot of risky players are going to do to beat this, right? To beat the low. However, if you go for LEN 2, boom, you launch them. That's the beauty of LEN 2. You get a full launch, and then you get, oh my god. And that's kind of like the mind game that you're playing with Lars. It's like, is he going to go for the LEN 2, or is he going to go for the low? That is the basic mix-up that you're playing off of limited entry. When they start respecting the unseeable 16-frame mix-up, because both of these moves are 16 frames, they're completely unseeable. You cannot tell them apart. They're unreactable. Once they start respecting that mix-up on hit or on block, that's when you can start doing funny shit with Lars. Here we have full crouch, 1+2, right? As you can see, you actually have hella plus frames here because you are +3 at limited entry, but they are fully crouched. That immediately transforms your plus frames. If they're trying to mash any button, any kind of button, usually they try to match jab or their jab strings or whatnot, this is going to beat it, right? All your options from limited entry are going to beat it. The only thing that beats you here, it's a dick jab. That's about it. That is the only thing that can stop you. And if they dick jab, while standing 4. Simple as that. The other important string that you're going to utilize for limited entry is going to be while standing 2-3. Switch into limited entry, and this mix-up is guaranteed. This mix-up is as good as the 2-1 mix-up, right? Because it gives you it's +8 here. Off of this, you're +6, right? So your LEN 1 and LEN 2 is essentially 10 frames. You're starting to see how all these moves are going to start coming together eventually, because limited entry is probably like the only stance that can go into itself, right? From limited entry and from fully crouch, Lars can pretty much go into dynamic entry, silent entry, and limited entry. Den 4 and 1-4. This is the next one. And it's pretty much the same rule as with the other low. They're -3 and they're standing in your face. The only thing that you can do is while standing 4. Same thing from here, while standing 4. There is nothing else that you can do. The other thing you can do, block, they do something stupid, you punish, and you know, you get it. Now, what is so scary about limited entry? Like, what is so scary? What are the actual options that he has off of the mix-up, off of LEN 1? What can he do? If he hits you with LEN 1, he has while standing 2, right? While standing 2 has a shit ton of transitions. You can do LEN 1 while standing 2 forward. Now you have to eat a +6 silent entry mix-up. And if you watch the past video, you understand that being +6 at silent entry is devastating. Lars can also back away, right? He's -1, apparently. He's -1, but those minus frames do not matter, right? he's backing off into dynamic entry, and as we stated in the past video, dynamic entry, it's known for its insane range, right? Even a little bit. Den 3 tags you. That basically, off of LEN 1, Lars gets access to basically a very devastating move with a shit ton of follow-up. Now, does Wall Standing 2 have counterplay off of limited entry? And yes, it does. It actually does have quite a bit of counterplay. On block, this move is -8. It is very minus by itself, right? If you're just blocking and I do this, I'm -15. If I go into limited entry, I'm -11, right? I can't press nothing, nada, right? I can't press nothing, nada without getting punished. You can just duck it. If you expect the kick is going to come your way, this is going to be what you want to practice. You want to practice the look of this animation and always go for the punish right here. That is how you punish that. Very simply, launch his ass. There's nothing he can do. However, Lars does actually have an answer to this. This is the answer to the duck punish. However, as a Lars player, if this move is blocked, this mid is blocked, that is the punish for that move. That's the counterplay to the counterplay of the counterplay. And this is going to be a PSA. Do not, and I repeat, do not let this shit slide. What does it say right beneath my frame data right there? I am -5 in silent entry, right? -5. What does that mean when you're -5 in silent entry? You get launched. That's right. You get launched. Right? I literally have to go for the power crush. However, down forward 1 is able to safely poke out of it, right? That's really the only thing that he can do to keep himself safe off of that. And he has to be pretty fast with it as well. If the large player delays, he's going to get tagged because he is -7. Well, however, now there is counterplay to this counterplay. If you're expecting that he is going to go into 2-3, right? Or if you're expecting him to go forward and you're ready for that, you're ready for him to be aggressive and dumb, well, what happens when the large player backswings, right? And when the large player backswings, that happens. When the large player backswings, that happens. You get launched. This happens, right? So, as you can see, how everything is now coming together because limited entry puts you in while standing. It gives you access to your most versatile move. It is the move that Lars is going to be using non-stop. And a lot of the times, if I just do this, I'm safe. Like, I think the only thing that stops this is rage art, right? Like, if they rage, they can probably reach you from here. If they rage immediately, because they're very plus. Yeah, they're +12. So if they rage, there's a good chance the rage is going to hit you in your dynamic entry frames. Very good chance. This move is hella mind games. Wall Standing 2 is what initiates the bullshit of limited entry. Wall Standing 3. Right, +4. At +4, Lars can get interrupted by dick jabs. If he decides to go into Wall Standing 2, you cannot interrupt it because it's 13 frames. If you're just holding back and waiting for the mid, do it the low. Now, Wall Standing 3 does have a counter. Very simply, sidestep right. Simple as that. Right? Sidestep right at +6. By the way, this is +6. Range 0. Stepped. It's sidesteppable right, sidesteppable left. Right? It is an extremely steppable move. Again, it's a high. It's a very slow high with a ton of active frames, so you can just duck it. You duck and then you launch it. It's a very risky option with the frame data and everything. Thankfully, on block it's +4, so it's a guaranteed mix. Right? +4 is enough to mix with LEN entry, with limited entry. And not only that, but on hit, it's his most damaging launcher, right? We're gonna get into a very risky move from limited entry, and it's While Standing 1. Yeah, the launcher, the big launcher, or the second big launcher from full crouch. This is a 15 frame launcher. 15 frames. Let's take a look at the frame data. +8, 15, yeah, guaranteed. unseeable launcher. You have to guess between low, that leads into more mix-ups. Launcher. Instant, by the way. Nothing you can do about it except maybe armor. No, but if you armor, low. So, yeah. Land one into low, into another low, into mid, right? Like you see the vision, you see it. Do you see it? How this character can be kind of stupid, and by kind of stupid I mean very stupid, right? The fact that all these moves can be cycled one after the other, like the while standing moveset gets cycled, and that is why it's one of the best in the game, in my opinion. It's top 3 in the game at the very least. If you're asking for counterplay for while standing 1, I don't know what to tell you. Honestly, it's -12 on block. Just, you have to hold it, right? Is this move not steppable? Oh, fuck off. You can't step it. You have to eat it. Okay. That's actually pretty funny. That's a solid while standing 1. Yeah. You just have to eat it, man. You have to block it and then punish him. You have to stay on point. If you were thinking like, oh, all I gotta do is just wait and then just mash down forward 1. Whenever he's minus, I don't have to worry about nothing in limited entry. His orbital is an AOP. His orbital literally goes under a lot of mids. Not just a few amount of mids, like a decent amount of mids. And now finally, I actually forgot about this, but this is actually very important to the limited entry mix-up. And to Lars's limited entry. How do you cancel out of your stances into your while standing moves? And it's actually extremely easy. All you have to do is once you are in limited entry, all you have to do, hold forward. Alright? Hold forward and he will instantly do while standing move. Alright? Instantly. Like he instantly just holds forward. That's all you gotta do. You hold forward, you immediately cancel out of the stance, you press a button and there you go. That's it. That's how you cancel off of limited entry. You can just backdash, right? Dash forward, and when you dash forward, you can do this, right? When you can start doing that cancel, you now have access to moves like this. Let's say that this hit. Now I'm +6. I didn't do anything in limit entry. I just canceled it and ran. I just canceled it into while standing, while running 3. All right. Or if you're feeling frisky, while standing, while running 1. If you hold forward, it's better for silent entry. Since I'm playing on keyboard, it's a lot easier for me to cancel into back. I like to do this, which would be holding back and then down, so that he triggers the dynamic entry stance transition. Alright. And that's pretty much it. That is how you cancel out of the stance. That is it. Everything else is just practice. Right? Like being able to do this shit, I don't know how to do that, and I don't like doing that because it's extremely risky. It's basically taunting in your opponent's face. But learning how to do this within your combos, like for example doing this, right? Having the confidence to go into limited entry off of like fucking this, right? Or this, like that is important for you to build, because you are essentially playing with your timing and you're mentally getting into your opponent's head, right? And that's kind of what you want to do with these stances. All right, now to fully wrap up the stance, basically as you just seen throughout the guide, the stance is very powerful, especially again if Lars gets you to respect the stance itself, because of the amount of options that he has off of it, and the fact that he can get into it so safely off of 2-1, right? Very fast lows that he has that he can just do to get into the stance, and a lot of impossible mix-ups, or it's literally a lot of the times it's just guess, right? Guess and press at the right time. That's why, in my opinion, the stance is the best, because once your opponent is falling for limited entry mix-ups, like, and he lets you do things like this, right? This allows you to just go crazy. Once the opponent lets you do limited entry offense, quite literally, you win the game most of the time, right? Because you are in their heads. Because if they're respecting limited entry, silent entry, which in my opinion is is the dumbest stance. This is the coolest and best stance, limited entry, because of the options and because of the interaction between Lars and the opponent. Sen is the dumbest because it's like you have no options other than just guess 50-50, right? You just have to guess. And dynamic entry is interesting when you add while standing 2 back, because now it's a backswing, a full-on, like, very powerful backswing that can go into silent entry. Limited entry is literally just what it is. It's a really good stance to condition the opponent immediately into the whole 50-50 mind game, and it's the stance that you usually go into to get into your opponent's head, because a lot of the times, for example, let's say you land a down forward 2, hold down, limited entry all of a sudden, and now you're playing with timing, right? You're playing with timing, and your opponent is visually seeing Lars do all this crazy shit, and they're like, wait, I could have pressed buttons there. And then when they decide to press buttons again a second time, now all of a sudden you hit them with a Sen 1, right? Instead of going into limited entry. Or you hit them with a Sen 3 and you launch them, right? Or you hit them with Sen 2 and then you counter hit launch this jab, right? So there's so many things that you can do off of limited entry and so many creative applications that if Lars didn't have limited entry, he would not be the character that he is right now. He would be a much more boring, shittier, crappier version of him, and that's why it's my favorite stance. I could be partly biased towards it, but yeah. To summarize, like I said, the moves to look out for: 2-1, 1, 2-1, 2, right? 2-3 into the same mix, and then after he's down here doing this, look for lightning starter, which is while standing 2. Look for while standing 2, right? A lot of the times. Look for the while standing 2 follow-ups, right? And all of their separate little counterplays. And try to pay attention to the LAR players' habits. Try and see what moves he tosses out other than these basic moves that I just said. Right? How is he using the lows to transition into limited entry? Is he using moves that are a bit too expensive for him to use? For example, is he committing to these 16-frame mix-ups at +3? Right? Is he tossing out a lot of these limited entry mix-up with lows? Should you start going into low parries now? Right? So it's a lot of observing what the Lars player is doing with the limited entry. And granted, there's a lot of ways to play Lars, right? Because there is the way that you play him heavily off of his stances, but there's also the very neutral-heavy movement-based Lars where he's just using basic neutral mid-pokes, basic launchers, and he's playing around his timing, right? He's playing at a medium pace. He's not trying to rush you down. He's not trying to blast you down. He's taking his time to either poke you down or blow you up with a well-timed launcher. And that's kind of what you have to gauge on when you're fighting him with limited entry. And as the Lars player as well, you have to gauge when you're going to go into limited entry and when are you going to use any of these options, right? I hopefully am going to do a lot of match videos and videos where I'm commentating, so hopefully I'll be able to explain it a lot better live within a match. But for now, I believe this is going to be the video. And that's pretty much everything for Lars's limited entry. It's honestly one of my favorite parts of his whole kit and what makes the character interesting or fun to play for me. If you learned something new or picked up an idea that you want to try out, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear how you're using limited entry in your matches. If you haven't seen the stance breakdown video I did before this one, make sure to check that out too. That one covers his other 2 stances in full detail. It teaches you pretty much how to utilize his offensive options and how to counterplay them as the opposing player. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.